Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Only Land Fan Show. My name is Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is David Olds. David Olds is a seasoned real estate investor and founder of EZREI Closings, a nationwide virtual transaction coordination company that helps investors and wholesalers streamline the closing process and handle complex title issues. With over 2 decades of experience, David went from purchasing his first foreclosure to building a multi-million dollar rental portfolio. His mission is to empower real estate professionals to close more deals, generate more revenue, and turn transaction coordination into a profit center. David is widely recognized as an innovator in real estate investing and a leader in helping others succeed. David, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you. Doing amazing, dude. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I just got back off of a 10-day trip going to Phoenix and Scottsdale and Dallas, and was super excited to get back in here today so we could do this live and in the studio.
Fantastic. It sounds like you've been very busy. So thank you for
So busy.
taking the time out to visit with us today.
You bet.
So we're talking about a topic that
Mhm.
so many people
Yeah.
need in their businesses,
Mhm.
and maybe they don't even recognize that they really need it
Yeah.
until they get into the throes of it. And so we're talking about transaction coordination today.
Yeah, the least sexy and exciting thing in all of real estate, right? You're like transaction coordination. What is that? Sometimes people will ask me to come out and speak on their stage, and can you do an hour? I'm like, yeah, I have funny stories. I have a lot of great stories about deals that have gone sideways and crazy stuff that's happened. But yeah, it is 100%. It's the thing that nobody ever anticipates. What I like to say is none of us read Rich Dad Poor Dad and said, "Oh my God, I want to become a title abstractor. That would be the best thing ever. I want to learn where to find missing trust documents. And what do I do when there's not a death certificate? And oh my gosh, my seller's in jail. What should I do?" All of those just weird and wacky things. But what is important is this is how you get paid. As investors and wholesalers, all of us, what are we all taught to do? We're all taught to go out there and find people with problems so that we can help solve those problems. And the more problems that we can solve, the deeper discount and the cheaper we can get something. But on the flip side, to be able to close that, and even if you're buying it for yourself or if you're wholesaling it or whatever you're doing, you have to get clear title. So somebody has to clean up that bankruptcy and foreclosure and bad tenants or whatever it is, boundary disputes, whatever all of the things are, in order for you to actually make money. Otherwise, nothing really mattered.
That is so true. And I think you hit the nail on the head so many times in that. But chief among those is that we don't really think about transaction coordination
Mhm.
until we're in it and it's time
Yeah.
to make money. I also love that you pointed out that so often in our acquisition processes, we're taught to look for problems, look for problem properties. That's how we can get discounts.
Yep.
And problem properties mean that we have to close those and take care of those problems. It's not going to be super smooth and super
Right.
simple. So, if you could walk
Sure.
us through how did you come to the point of saying, you know what, I'm going to specialize in the unsexiest part of
Yeah.
the transaction, which is
So,
transaction coordination.
yeah, it was never the plan. I will tell you, when I did read Rich Dad Poor Dad 20 something years ago, never did I think I would be here. In fact, when I was at a big mastermind with Investor Lift, all the cartel bosses, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago down in Cancun. And my very best friend at the time, Corey Geary, I was telling him, he's, dude, that's the stupidest idea that I've ever heard of. He's like, why? He's like, that's brain damage. Why would you want to do that? It's the worst part of the business. I'm like, well, man, because nobody teaches anybody. Because you call me 3 times a week to help solve your problems. I just realized that there was just a gap in either in education and in services where nobody was helping people. And Kendall, do you know how many deals per year don't close? Like what the percentage is? You have any
I
idea?
don't know.
I talk about it a lot, so I thought maybe
I imagine it's pretty high. If I were a betting man, I would
the
say,
this is the average. The average is 50%.
gosh, it's
And
a coin
that's
toss.
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? And we also own a title company, so we have access to a lot of data. And I was in Orlando at the big Alta convention, the American Land and Title Association, back in October, and the state of Florida is 60%. That includes retail deals. That's not just investors. 50% of the time, your deal on average is not going to close. And if you're working virtual, it's probably honestly higher because there's just so many problems out there, right? And so think of that, right? You did your research, you got the coach, you got the training, you picked a market, you did your marketing, you did the acquisitions, you found a buyer, all of those things. And then you couldn't clear title and now you have a problem. And all of that was for nothing. You rang the bell, you're like, oh, we're going to be rich, order the jet. And right. And it can't close and you can't actually realize that profit. So it's very important. Kind of the way that I fell into it was I was way back in the day, I was a coach for dispositions. Nobody teaches disposition. So that was my thing. Even in my business where I had a partner, I handled that back half of the business. So that just became the thing that I was really well known for. I flew around the country and trained really big wholesale teams and also helped them with transactions. Then COVID happened, and in fact, this room I'm sitting in was our transaction coordination office originally. And people let some of their staff go. Remember, the market, boom, picked up really quick. And some of my friends were like, hey, can you help us close some of these deals while we try to get some new coordinators or bring our other people back? So we fell into it a little bit backwards. It wasn't our intention. We're like, oh, we can do this and we'll just help some of our buddies close their deals. Maybe we'll close 5 or 6 deals a week for people. And now it's turned into a ridiculous business that's just growing so quickly.
That's incredible. I love that you found a need, and totally. And the thing that just strikes me so much is the fact that I'm thinking back when I was very first doing my wholesale house deals, my very
Yeah.
first deals. I had plenty of coaching on
Hmm.
finding the deal, on
Yeah.
dispoing the deal,
Yeah.
but what happens when things go wrong? And I think people look to the title company, please help me. And
Yeah.
a regular title company, they're like, that's really not our bag. We'll sell you insurance and we
Yeah.
can guide you. But
Hmm.
yeah. So can
Yeah.
you talk a
Big,
little
big.
bit about, yeah, go ahead.
No, I think we're going in the same spot here. Yeah, there's just that huge disconnect. A lot of the old school coaches are like, oh, just find a good investor friendly title company and you'll be good. That's not a title company's job. I know a lot of people that are listening to this think title companies make a lot of money. They do not make a lot of money. I have friends that run a really big one here in Eastern Tennessee, and they net between $400 to $600 per transaction per file. That's not a lot, right? So they don't have just staff upon staff to be calling around, getting leases from the tenant and checking all of this stuff. That's not their job. Their job is to go back and make sure they can convey this with clear title, transfer it with clear title. They're going back through the books in the property appraiser's office going, okay, who owned this and who owned it before that and who owned it before that? Their job is not collecting documents and lining people up to make sure that everybody's there, or, oh, one of the heirs is in prison. How do we get a hold of him? That's not their job. That always kicks back to the investor. And the thing that we hear the most from our clients is after they've been with us for 30 or 60 days, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea how much time this was taking up, because it's literally like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It just nicks you slowly, little by little, an hour here, 30 minutes there, 15 minutes here. Let me stop what I'm doing. Let me go back and make a call. And you just think you have to do it. And that's the other thing that we hear is, oh my God, I didn't know there was another way. I didn't know somebody else could do this, because none of us, I think we could say with certainty, most of the people that are investors and wholesalers, we like to talk and we're very action takers and we like to be out there in the mix, right? Doing the thing, not going through making notes and calling around trying to find paperwork. It's just not our personality. It's not what we love
Right.
to do. Most of you guys, if you're like me, my bookkeeper hates me, my accountant hates me, my lawyer hates me. I never do any of that stuff on time because I want to be out making deals. Yeah. So title companies, it's not their job to coordinate your transaction. It's just not. And so that means you're going to do it. But if you're doing it, what are you not doing? You're not on the phone. You're not talking to your buyer. You're not talking to your seller. And maybe because you're knee deep in trying to figure out, decipher abstract or talk, right, of what a monument of title is, you're not calling your buyer and you're not calling your next seller. And the lost opportunities are just incredible.
Absolutely, 100%. I've talked to a lot of investors, and a big buzzword in the space is always scaling. Like they want to do more deals, right? We want to do more deals,
Everybody
make more
does.
money.
Yeah.
Everybody does,
Yeah.
right?
Somebody on here, tell me you don't want to do more business in 2025 than you did in 2024. Because you'll be the first person in three years of this that's ever said that. No, we
Exactly.
all want to be more efficient. We want to make more money. And the reason we all got into this business is what's really for freedom and to make money for whatever, right? You want to donate to charity, you want to open an orphanage, you want to get off at 2 o'clock to go pick your kid up at school, right? That's what you want, right? We want to make money and have the life that we dream of, not going, oh my God, I got to do all this paperwork before I can close, before I can go home, and I got to stay late. And no, that's terrible. It sucks.
Hey, land fans. The brutal truth about land investing is even the best deals mean nothing if you can't get them funded. Enter Serious Land Capital, the Austin powerhouse revolutionizing land funding and operating nationally. Look, I turn down 9 out of 10 potential advertisers because I only partner with people I personally know and genuinely trust to serve our community. After spending time with Chris Duff in person and seeing how they operate, I can tell you, these folks are the real deal. Co-founder Chris Duff and his team bring institutional-grade expertise to our Wild West industry, with substantial capital reserves and a legal team that specializes in complex land deals. Whether you're looking to scale your land business or just getting started, Serious Land Capital has the resources you need. Ready to level up? Head to seriouslandnow.com to submit your deal, join their world-class land daily diligence sessions, or try their game-changing Land Pricer AI tool. That's seriouslandnow.com, where serious land investors get serious results. Bingo. And I think that's honestly, in my opinion, one of the biggest bottlenecks to scaling is it's not really a function of marketing, because once you get your marketing engine going, you can it's just by virtue of finding more deals, like putting out more marketing. I think that where that really bogs down is when you have to start dealing with coordinating the closings of 14 deals at a time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
True. Yeah, there's math and science tell us there is only 24 hours in the day. That is it. And you got to sleep a couple of those. So there's a limit, right? There's a max on what you can accomplish. I'll tell you, I'm pretty good. I was a great wholesaler. I was really good. But 3 to 5 deals a month was my max by myself. Literally, that's it. And that's my hair feels like it's on fire. Because you've got just so many in so many different boxes, they're all in different stages. And we do want to scale, right? And one of the other challenges that we have now, life is different today than it was 22 years ago when I started, right? You don't have to have these big, massive teams, right? You can run a very small, elite, tight team and just really explode your business, because now the ability is I can outsource my bookkeeping and my property management and my marketing and my PPC and my transactions to literally the people that are the best in the world at it for a fraction of the price. And I could just stay in my office and be focused on doing the things that matter, which is getting contracts and selling those deals.
Bingo. Could not have said it better myself. So let's talk about that solution. So obviously you found there was a need. There is a great need in the
such
industry.
a need. Yeah.
So what is the solution that you offer? Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So we work with investors and wholesalers all across the country. A couple of things that were really important to us, Kendall, was when we started this, because we were investors. Like, I've been doing this since 2002. My partner has been doing this, and she was an agent before that. And then she had some really high level operation stuff at Amazon. So she's very organized. But we realized that I couldn't take you on as a client. And where do you live? Where
I live in Austin.
Oh, man, I just went to Phoenix and I was going through the family black book and I'm like, I should have been in Austin. But anyways,
we have a few out here.
Dude, there's a bunch. But I can't say, hey, I'm going to take care of you in Texas. But you're like, oh, but I got this deal in Louisiana. So very important that we could serve our clients in all 50 states and do all different types of deals, whether it's wholesale or land or novation or whatever, installment method. But our deal for us, the moment you get that contract, I want you to hand that off to us and you're done. Go get your next deal. Like, literally, upload it. It's drag and drop into our portal. Give it to me. You're done. Go get your next deal. On our side, we will take over from there all the way till closing. So we'll jump on the phone. We'll assign it to a coordinator. We'll assign it to a title company. Hey, Mrs. Smith, this is David. I know you're working with Kendall on your deal over here at 123 Main Street. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way till closing. So I'm releasing you. You're out. You're not going to have to start taking all those calls continuously, right? Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact. Hey, I have some questions for the title company so I get you paid just as quickly as possible. Because we understand everybody wants to get paid, you, us, them, everybody wants to be paid. So great. And then we're going to start to ask them a bunch of questions. We have about a 4-page intake form that just is there to identify problems. So that's what we excel at, is we are really good. From the moment you give us that contract, we're going to dig right in and go, okay, do you own the property? How did you buy this property? Did you inherit it? Is there a foreclosure? Is there a bankruptcy? Do you have bad tenants? Like, it's 4 pages of this type of stuff. And that's where our coordinators who did over $500 million, or just shy of $500 million, we broke it now. They understand, oh, Oh, you inherited this property. Boom. Now I ask a whole bunch of other questions. So what happens is when you get this deal to the closing table, you're not having all of these questions. And that's what delays things, right? Because when we bring it in and we either bring it to our title company or to one of the other ones, like all the questions are there. Everything is answered. The documents are collected. We know if it's, let's say it's a house, we know what the rents are, the security deposits, we know what that is. If there's a land lease or whatever it is, like we've collected that information. And that's how we can really compress time because that's the only thing that's important to us, right? We want to get you paid just as quick as possible. And honestly, selfishly, we get about 50 new contracts a day in from our clients. So I've got to move the old ones out to make room for the new ones. Otherwise, we're like, I love Lucy with the pies, right? At the end of the company. So we have taken transaction coordination and made it incredibly efficient, get these deals done. And that's why our clients love us.
That is remarkable. I love the idea of having a very hands-on
Mm.
coordinator
Oh,
that is assigned because customer experience and customer journey is so
yeah.
important and it continues after you get that signed contract.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a professional on the other end that can intake and be that point of
Yeah.
contact is just huge. It's
Oh
absolutely.
my goodness. We hold them to such a high standard and we have to explain to them because they're not us. They're not you and me. These are the other side of the coin. These are like the thinker brains that love taking notes and can get very detailed in problem solving. And we bring them in and it takes them anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks to get certified for us so that they understand the business from our point of view, right? Even though we hire people that were title agents and realtors and in the insurance business, we hire people in that come with a lot of experience. They don't always see the investor side, right? They don't always have that sense of urgency. So that's something that we instill in them from the get-go. I tell them, listen, this could be little Bobby in Phoenix. This could be his only deal that closes this month for 10 grand. Get this thing closed, right? I don't care. He may have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever. Hopefully not all of them, kids, VAs, dogs, whatever. He needs this money. Get these things closed as fast as humanly possible. So that's incredibly important to us. And one of the ways that we do that is we actually incentivize all of our coordinators where they get bonuses and they get paid for closing these things really fast because I want them to be your advocate. I want them out there pushing these deals over the finish line just as quick as we can. So we do everything we can to not only just create that culture, but incentivize them to get you paid quick.
Imagine having a complete toolkit for success right at your fingertips. That's exactly what you get with Only Land Fan School, our premium online community. For a low monthly fee, access our treasure trove of resources, the on-market deals course, acquisitions tool suite, and Dispo Secrets library. Plus, connect with fellow flippers in our active community. Whether you're hunting for deals or closing sales, Only Land Fan School has you covered with step-by-step guidance and insider knowledge. Ready to supercharge your land flipping journey? Join Only Land Fan School at olfschool.com today. Yeah, that's fantastic. I have a good mentor and mutual friend of ours that says money loves speed. And so
Money loves speed, baby.
we
Move that
want to
along.
keep that speed going. So you mentioned something earlier, David, that I wanted to circle back to.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that whether you close with your title company
Yeah,
or with another title company, how does that work?
sure.
Can you work with others or how
Yeah,
all of
absolutely. So here's what happened. So we start this business. And I want to tell you, in the fantasy of my brain as an entrepreneur, I'm like, okay, so we're going to run this nationwide transaction coordination company. If I can just find one of these nationwide title companies, we'll have a great partnership and it'll be really good. We tried three of them and we broke them because we were sending them too many deals. Because the reality is, I don't care what anybody says. If I hit any single title company with 20 files in a week, probably going to break them. So that's terrible because, again, if Melinda's sending me her contracts, right? It's my job to make sure these things go well. So we built up a network of over 400 partner title companies across the country. One, I don't want to overload anybody. Two, somebody who does wholesale may not do innovation. They may do innovation, but not sub two. They may not want to mess with land because it's too small. I'm sure you guys have come up with that. Nobody wants to do a $15,000 closing. Or they will, but it's just they're not going to push it through quickly. So that was a problem, right? Finding all of them. Even though we did 7,200 files last year, we handle more files than any single title company in the country. But still, title companies aren't great to us, right? They suck. We've all realized this, right? They're busy. They don't listen. Investor business is the worst business. Let's be honest, right? You said
Sure,
earlier,
sure.
title insurance is an insurance game. We are the most risky. We literally go out and find people with problems, and then you're asking them to stand behind those deals. So about 2 years ago, I was with my COO, Heather. We were driving back from Texas. We were with Eddie Speed, and we're driving back to Tennessee, which was a bad drive. Don't ever make that drive. But we're like, okay, what other things can we do to help our client experience and help our clients like close faster, right? That's one thing that a mentor of mine always taught me is like compressing time. How do we do it faster? And I said, a title company? Are we smart enough to do a title company? Can we do that?
Mhm.
No. So we looked at buying a couple, and we ended up bringing in a third partner, this one that runs Key Title. Her name is Megan, and one of the biggest title companies in East Tennessee. And we brought her in as a partner. So we are now licensed in Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and we're adding probably 10 more states this year. Now, the only reason we did that, because again, it's not the most profitable thing, it's to just improve our client experience. So instead of one of our coordinators having to get on the phone and call and email and wait for 2 days to get a response from XYZ title company in Texas, now they can walk 15 feet down the hallway and go, what's going on with Kendall's deal? I need this to close today. What's the holdup? What do I need to do? What's happening? So they can really work really hand in hand. And even though we're two separate companies, it's one culture where speed counts. That's at the end of the day, we are trying to get these deals closed just as fast as possible. And that's how you have growth.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, having an outside transaction coordinator just blows my mind,
Yeah.
and I can't possibly. Some people may think, yes, I want to hand it off and I never want to think about it again. And,
Yeah.
and the next thing I want to see is my check. But then there are
That's
some
it.
people that might be listening to this and they're thinking, I got to know what's going on. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know every step of the process.
Yeah.
What does it look like for that investor after they hand it off to you?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple of things, and when I know I'm not going to share my screen, but one of that was very the perfect question. So when we were sitting down, literally whiteboarding this company out, I'm like, if I was the client, and I'm a little bit of a dick, right? I want stuff to right. If it was me, what would I want? And I've had title companies promise stuff to me for, again, I've been doing this for 22 years. Oh, we're going to have this website or an app, or we're going to have all these things. So I'm like, we're creating a website. We're going to do that. We call it a portal, but you can call it a CRM, whatever you want. And I want there to be a place where you can log in at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday when you wake up in a cold sweat going, oh my God, what's going on with my deal? I got to know. Boom, I can log in. I can see, oh, okay, here's what we're under contract for. Here's what we're selling it for. Here's my coordinator. Here's where the EMD is. And then 5 pages of notes where every single time somebody has touched that, right? It was, what's today's date? January 30th, 2:22 p.m. Spoke to the title company. Received an email, talked to the seller, lined up the notary, whatever it is, so that you can go through and read that and go, oh, great. Here's the story of what's going on with my deal. So transparency, incredibly important to us. And we spent a freaking fortune building this out so that you can log in and see. And then there's a tab for all the documents, right? All the things that have been collected, the leases, the deeds, the whatever it is, right? The title commitment, the HUD, all of those things. Everything is in there. So you can download it, you can look at it, you can do whatever. But there's 100% transparency between what we do and what you can see, right? There's nothing that's hidden. And then you have access to your coordinator all the time. These deals are assigned to one coordinator. So one person gets it from start to finish.
Nice.
No, like, there's no handoff and be like, oh, because this stuff happened to me. I had this title company, I would turn it in and they'd be like, oh, Penelope is going to have your file. Great. 2 days later, I call Penelope and she's, oh, Susie has it now. I'm like, okay. So I call Susie and Susie's on vacation for 2 weeks and she says, call Bob. And I call Bob and he's, oh, dude, I got this stack of 40 files. I'll get to it as quick as I can. That's not speed. That's not compressing time. That's not getting me paid fast. Now the last guy has got to go through the whole file and start from scratch. As opposed to our coordinator, who has been the one who talks to you, and she talks to, or he, they talk to your seller, and they're the one talking to the title company. It's the same person talking to the buyer, right? So there's just that compression of time, and there's no lag between all of the different steps. So literally, my partner's amazing at operations, right? She's fantastic at just going in there. She used to work for Amazon at just tweaking it. Where do we tweak? Where do we take something out? Like, how do we do this to make sure that you're getting paid just as fast as possible?
I love that so much. In my own businesses, I just obsess about customer experience. And so having that one
Yeah.
person, so that way the customer doesn't feel like they're getting passed around.
No,
I don't want my seller feeling like they're being
no,
passed.
no.
So that's really huge. I love that. portal such a cool idea. So let me ask you, what's the limitation to, are there types of deals that you guys don't touch? Are there states
Uh-huh.
that you don't operate in? Where's the,
The thing, no,
yeah,
no, no states. We're the only company that's closed in all 50 states. I know a lot of people say we can close in all 50 states, and that's cool. There was a point where we hadn't closed in all 50, but it took us about a year. A couple things that make us different from everybody else is all of our coordinators are here in our office. It's 7 o'clock here, so they're all gone now, but they're all in the office. We get that culture, that kind of hive mind of just experience of doing 7,000 files a year. We'll probably do over 11,000 this year. The limitations, not a lot, man. We've closed some wacky deals. Installment method, weird land, sub two, assigned sub twos, novations, all of those. For us, our mix is about 40% of our deals are still straight wholesale, 40% are novations. We do a ton of those. And then the rest is some combination of creative, mixed, hybrid, all the different deals. The only thing for us that we really don't do is I don't sign the contract for you. That's pretty much where unless any of you want to make me a principal in your company and give me a little percent, then I will make an exception for you. But yeah, basically once the minute you have that contract uploaded, drag and drop that PDF into the portal. And usually within 2 or 3 hours, it's assigned to a coordinator, it's assigned to a title company, and we're off and running. And then you talked about customer and client experience. That is important, right? Because again, I ran Nationwide Property Liquidators. We were one of the biggest wholesalers in the country. We make sure that, again, what should we be doing on your behalf, right? My partner and I, we are like the biggest advocates for you guys ever. I feel like we care more about your business sometimes than some of our clients. We look at the things that we did, right? We made sure that we called that seller and that buyer every single week and had a touch in with them. These are the things that keep your seller in the loop, right? If you don't talk to them for 5 weeks and then you pop up one day and be like, hey, we're going to close. They're like, what? That was a real thing? I did sign a contract, but I haven't heard from you. So I signed a contract with somebody else. I didn't even know. Yeah. So we're going to stay in communication with that seller. Our coordinators have some crazy stories about talking to sellers. Like, sellers are wild, but we build relationships with them because we're going to talk to them more than you. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yeah. And as far as on like your side, right? For you guys being our client, like we mess up stuff too. Like we realized early last year, a year ago, we were growing so fast that we weren't doing a great job onboarding you. So now I brought in a girl that I pay a ridiculous amount of money to. Her name is Hannah. She's amazing. She's our client success manager. So when you start with us, she has a call with you every single week for the first month, every other week for the next 2 months after that. And just to really make sure that you understand the portal. If you have questions or anything that you want to know on our side, like even data, you want to call us up and be like, hey, how are sales in North Dakota? I can't tell you what Kendall's doing, but I can tell you as a whole how things are going. We can tell you what the best novation states are. We do all that because we have such an inordinate amount of data, which we're going to do a presentation to family here in a couple of weeks on our data for last year. Yeah, we see things from 40,000 feet for sure.
Hey land fans, looking for your tribe of serious land investors? Join thousands of your fellow land lovers in the Only Land Fans Facebook group. We're talking real deals, expert strategies, and game-changing connections you won't find anywhere else. This isn't just another real estate group, this is the community where land investors come to level up. Join us at onlylandfansgroup.com and join the conversation today. That's onlylandfansgroup.com. See you there. Yeah, what a great resource. I'm wondering if I'm a client of yours and I'm thinking, hey, I need a really good real estate agent in this market. Could I reach out to you and say, hey, who's closing a lot of
we do keep that's one of our projects for this year is to really refine that database. But yeah, when you go into the portal, there is a database for realtors that we've put together. It's not as user friendly as I'd like it to be, so Hannah's working on that, but it's there and we're getting better. But as you have a deal in Deerfield Beach, Florida, right? You can talk to your coordinator and we can pull up, if you give her a couple hours, right? We can go into the system, pull up all the deals that are in, that would be what county down there? I used to live down there and I can't remember, but yeah, Fort Lauderdale County, whatever. We can pull that up and go, oh, which one's had a realtor? And we can probably do it. Is that what we're not built for that? And we don't have it set up as much as I'd like, but yeah, we're going to do everything we can to help you. We do literally a coaching call every single week where I'll bring on somebody just to talk about It was AI last week and people were fascinated by it. Today I brought in Forrest Blackburn and we were talking about just sales stuff, just answering questions. We're going to provide you with the basic wholesale contracts and just everything that we can do to make sure you're successful. Our team literally will bend over backwards to do anything that we can. You need money? Great. We got contacts for that. Whatever you need, we try to have it for you.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that nationwide, 50% of all real estate transactions fall
Yeah.
apart at the closing table.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what your numbers look like in with your business in terms of the number of contracts that, despite all best efforts, just
Sure.
may not close?
Yeah, our clients, and again, most of ours are pretty virtual, right? We're really built for the virtual investor. We have plenty that are in their state, but we average somewhere between 65 and 68% close rate. So 15%, that's a big number. Because remember, if we're just talking about virtual investors, it's probably a 30% close rate. So yeah, our clients will have a significantly high close rate. Two reasons why all those deals die. It's really very simple. The first is going to be on your acquisition side, right? You probably contracted it too high. And we bring in a lot of people to offer advice and do free classes on comping. I know you guys do focus on that a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of people come to us that don't have great coaches like you. So we're always trying to help them. But yeah, they overestimate the value or they underestimate repairs, whatever it is. So they're just priced too high. I can't fix that. I'll give you as much coaching as I can. But the other side is they're just hairy deals, right? They're just deals with conundrums. And Kendall, one of the weirdest things, I was at that Alta convention in October down in Orlando and completely unasked for, one of the speakers from one of the big titles, might have been Old Republic, literally said, land is the hardest property type to close. It's the hardest because it's probably sat around for a while. It's gone through a bunch of heirs. It's boundary disputes. There's easement stuff. There's liens stacked up on it. And it's the segment of our business that has the most problems because it's sat around forever and nobody's cleared it. So that's one thing that we really specialize in is cleaning that stuff up so you can get paid, right? Because we did all that work and I get that as a wholesaler. I've had deals fall apart for 70 grand at the closing table. It's not good.
Ooh.
It's a tough afternoon, right?
Yeah.
We don't want any of them to die because it's not just us, right? It's our acquisitions people and our marketing people and whoever in your company gets paid off of some type of performance, which most of them should. The dispo person, like all of those people, they are not getting paid today because you didn't have the expertise to get a deal closed, and nor should you. None of us came into this business to be an expert at this. Nobody did. I promise you, nobody's. I really want to go learn how to go into dusty books downtown and figure out what book and page actually means. No, that's dumb. That's dumb. I just want to close my deals, man. I just want to go out and have fun and talk to people and help people out. That's our deal.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have a wealth of experience in the transaction coordination space. So I'd love to hear maybe if you could share a really interesting case study around interesting deals. I'm sure you've seen some
Yeah.
stuff in your life. What's some of the most interesting, notable,
Yeah.
crazy things you've seen as it relates to?
Yeah, man, there's lots of times where somebody's overseas and they just can't figure it out. So we had this seller and his wife was on vacation in the Middle East. They were Middle Eastern. And we sent her a power of attorney so that the husband could sign on her behalf. So I think she was in Jordan somewhere. And she goes into the embassy. So here's a little tip for you guys. If you have people that are overseas, they can get an American document notarized, but it has to be at an embassy or a consulate, a U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate. So anyway, she goes in there and the guy behind the counter is, oh, no, you need this paper. This is our embassy power of attorney. First off, title companies hate powers of attorney. They freaking hate it because if you're doing something on Melinda's behalf, right, the title company wants to know why she's not here, right? Because remember, title is I'm going to insure this transaction, right? And this is going to go into the next thing I'll talk about. I want to know why she can't be here, right? What is her reason? So anyways, so the guys, I don't know why I'm using an accent, but anyways, they use this standard power of attorney that's sealed with the U.S. Embassy, but it got over to the title company and they're like, hey, this isn't specific. This is just like this general power of attorney. And that's not what you need in real estate. A title company wants to see something that's very specific that says, Melinda, gives Kendall the rights to sign on her behalf on this day for this property and only this. It's a limited power of attorney. So that got screwed up. So that gets over, can't close. Now we got to get a hold of the seller, get a hold of the wife. Now she's in like Egypt, Cairo, and we're like, print this paper off. Do not sign any paper other than this one, and let's get this done. So paperwork matters, and having very specific paperwork matters. But the other thing, the biggest thing in all of title right now, I get so many emails every day from all these national associations, is fraud. Fraud is out of control. And land is a big place where there's a lot of fraud, right? Because I can post that I own a piece of land and pretend to be somebody else, and who's going to know, right? You're going to go there, someone's going to do a drive-by and go, yep, looks flat, looks dry, I'm going to buy it. It hurts. Buying it, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then maybe you've never seen the seller. Maybe the seller's not even going to show up, and they're just going to mail away some docs. And the industry has seen tremendous crackdown and adding new steps in and making it a little more complicated to verify that people are who they say they are. And we've got a new software. I wish I could remember what the name of it was. It's a nationwide software where the seller now will have to jump on a computer and hold their ID and prove that they are who they are. And it's, God, I was just thinking about it earlier. Plaid, that software now that like connects with a bank, but it'll go through credit history and be like, did you own a 2-door or 4-door car in 1990, right? So whatever it is. There's 3 ridiculous questions. And just to verify that people are who they say they are. Because one, we want to protect the seller to make sure that they're real, that somebody's not selling something out from underneath them. We want to protect the buyer, right? Last thing we want to do is sell a piece of property and give them title insurance, and they start pouring a foundation over there. And then 6 months later, somebody drives by and goes, that's my property. What is going on over there?
What's happening?
We had a client that happened in a high-end subdivision. Somebody sold the property next door. This guy was never there. He actually owned both lots, and they started building a property on it. Fraud is a thing, and people will get creative trying to tell you that they're somebody they're not. And our coordinators do enough of this. The spidey sense goes off pretty quick. When they won't jump on a phone, they'll only do text messaging, and they won't send you a copy of their ID. Like, we have a couple steps that we'll go through to try to pre-screen people. And if that doesn't work, it's, hey man, we got to jump on a Zoom. Like, we have to jump on a Zoom to do this. This is what's the title company is going to require. A lot of times there's outright fraud. Other times it's one heir. Maybe they have 6 brothers and sisters. Like, no, I'm the only heir. Oh, really? That's funny, because the death certificate and the obituary, yeah, they're all dead. And then it finds out they're out of the country. I'm handling it for them. No, we can get them to sign. They just have to go to a consulate or an embassy. So lots of wacky stuff like that. And it's just, when you do this every day, your eyes just roll. But if you're not familiar, if you don't know that this stuff happens, you can get sucked in. Like, because we all want to believe people. I want to believe people. I want to look for the best in everybody. But now, let's say the whole thing is fraudulent from start to finish, but you spent 6 weeks on this dopey deal, only at the end to be like, oh, shoot, that's $18,000 I'm not going to make. While you're spending all your time there, what did that cost you? How many people did you not pick up the phone and call? How many people did you not call back? How many, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff. And how much business did that cost you, when we could have just been handling it? Like, we're behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, right? Like, you're going out and doing your thing. We're just making magic happen back here.
If you're enjoying this episode of the Only Land Fans podcast, please let us know by subscribing and leaving a review. Now let's get back to the action. That's it. That's so good. And what a fantastic sort of safety net. If you're not super familiar, recognizing these fraudulent activities, that there's someone that you guys eat, live, and breathe this. So,
oh my gosh, every day.
You can see it coming.
The only thing we do, right? We don't have a coaching program. We don't wholesale anymore. We actually shut our own wholesaling company down because this was growing so quickly. Everybody comes in here every day from 8:30 to 5:30, and they're broken up into teams, and they are competitive as the day is long, because we audit them every single week. And there's a little goat that they get as their trophy. And there's a team that has it now. I can see it on our desk. And the other 2 teams are pretty salty because they had a lock on it. But yeah, they're really competitive, and they've literally done every type of deal in every state. And so when something comes up, even if somebody's newer, oh, hey, what about that foreclosure deal in Indiana that they were doing a short sale on? Oh, how did you do that? Oh, here it is. No problem. That's just institutional knowledge that you cannot duplicate. Who could you hire that's done 7,000 deals? Nobody. You just can't do it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So let's talk about a very hot topic right now in the real estate investing space, which is wholesaling.
Mm,
There's a lot of states that are outlawing wholesaling. And so for the wholesalers listening, from a
yeah.
TC standpoint, what do those people need to know? What do you want to share
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those listeners?
We've got, I don't know if you saw, we have a report that's getting ready to drop Monday. Brent Daniels forced me into saying Monday yesterday, that Monday we'll drop it because I've been editing it. But it's like a 34, 35 page white paper report. We call it the War on Wholesaling. So very familiar with that. There is a ton of regulation. 23 states or 21 states and 2 cities, Atlanta and Philadelphia, have come out with very strict anti-wholesaling laws. And here's why, right? The great thing about wholesaling, the great thing about being an investor, very low bar of entry, right? Low barrier of entry. Anybody can do it. We can all make a ridiculous amount of money, right? Real estate has been so good to me. I've made maybe a multimillionaire. I have all these rental properties. I have all these things. Was broke as half of broke when I got started. So it's an amazing vehicle. And for the right people, we can help a lot of sellers and a lot of buyers and add to the community and put a lot of people to work. The bad thing about wholesaling, however, Kendall, is that anybody can do it and it has a low barrier of entry. And if you're a
Yeah,
scumbag, you can come in here and take advantage of people, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Because we are dealing with people at usually a pretty low point. We call them distressed wholesalers or sellers, distressed sellers for a reason, right? Either they're distressed or the property's distressed. But usually the way I like to explain it to people is something about that property is keeping them up at night, right? They're just looking for a solution. And you can take advantage of that, unfortunately. If you're that type of person, that happens, right? We all know it. There's people that are going to federal prison right now for doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So that's what happens, right? And now you've got an upset realtor who gets elected to the state legislature, and that guy or gal is going to be the one that puts wholesalers out of business. And for a lot of years, I think Ohio was one of the first ones, anti-wholesaler law. The laws were very poorly written, right? It didn't have a lot of teeth. But states are getting a little bit smarter now. They're starting to figure it out. South Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, like the laws are actually getting well written and they're getting very strict. So the good news, because there is good news in this. A lot of us that have been doing this for a long time have said, hey, we do need some regulation. As much as it sucks and it's going to make our lives a little more difficult, we do need to get some of the bad apples out of the business. Fear not, like the good news with regulation is all of us as investors, we are very light on our feet, right? We can adjust and pivot. The bulk of the regulations, because I've spent so much time going through them for the 2 weeks, are one, lots of disclosure, right? Hey, I'm an investor. I may sell this and make some money. You're just going to have to disclose that. We can't pull the wool over anybody's eyes and be sneaky. Two, a lot of them want you to be licensed as an agent. Okay, is it dumb? Yes. That test is not going to do anything for you as
No,
as an investor. It's not going to teach you anything. It's a stupid test.
no.
But what it does do is now they can keep track of you, right? Now you have a license and they have some kind of control as opposed to somebody just popping into Chattanooga, doing a couple deals, screwing some people over and leaving. So they want you to be licensed. The alternative to being licensed, and there is, if you don't like, I don't love the idea of ever getting licensed. I just don't like it. I'm very old school that way. So the alternative is you can double close. Double close transactional funding, buy it with something creative, owner financing, sub-2 installment method, one of those things, lease option, master purchase, installment, whatever, executory contract. So there are a lot of options for you. And that's one of the things that we really outline in this, the war on wholesaling, that white paper is, yeah, these are definitely the issues. But hey, don't fear not, right? There is a solution, and these are the solutions. These are the ways to not get around it, because I'm never going to tell you break the law. Follow the law. It is not worth it. I will not do good in prison. I promise you, I'm not going to, it's not going to be good for me. I don't want to be in there, but we want to be ethical. And these are really, at the end of the day, none of them are putting us out of business. Hopefully they just run the bad people off.
Yeah, for sure. That's such good insight. David, let me ask you, because this
Yeah.
is also another very common topic when people talk about wholesaling, is the difference between wholesaling and novation. So can
Sure.
you talk a little bit about that from a TC side? How is that structured and what's that look like?
Hey, land fans. Tired of sellers ghosting faster than your ex? Get ready. Our friend Ajay Sharma has created the ultimate program to transform your acquisition game. Land Closers Academy brings you weekly call reviews, a powerhouse community, and the proven system for turning leads into signed contracts. And check this out. Sign up now at olfclosers.com and you'll get my personal call review template that's crushing it with both my team and my coaching clients. This is the exact system we use to level up acquisition managers and consistently grow their closing skills. It's a game changer for managing your team. Ready to close more deals? Head to olfclosers.com and let's get you crushing it. Because the only thing getting ghosted should be your old closing rate.
Yeah. So to lay the groundwork for everybody, just in case there's somebody that's new or listening. So in wholesaling, we are looking for cash buyers, right? The reason we're looking for a cash buyer is because if you were to go get a loan from Bank of America, right, they are not going to pay an assignment fee on the HUD, on the closing disclosure, right? There are actually laws, RESPA laws, that dictate what a conventional lender can and cannot pay, right? So that's why we say in wholesaling, you're looking for cash buyers, because we cannot sell to somebody who's getting a traditional bank loan. Can it happen with somebody at a local credit union because their next door neighbor is the president? Yes, but 99 out of 100 times it's not going to work. That's why we have hard money lenders and private money lenders and all of that. However, there is a way to do it, but it's through a novation. And essentially, right, the way that works is instead of your assignment fee being paid by the buyer, it's going to be paid by the seller, right? So Bank of America never looks at what's on the seller side, right? It just looks like a payoff. We call it a marketing fee. So that's, in the smallest nutshell, that's what a novation is. Now, you're going to present it a little bit different. You're going to have some different paperwork. You're going to have a different purchase and sale agreement. There's a novation indemnification agreement, which basically says, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what you're going to do. And you can't sue me if things go sideways, right? You definitely want that. And then most likely you're going to work with an attorney in fact document, which is an unnotarized document that just allows you to put this property onto the MLS, right? At a very simple level, that's it. There are some people that use a power of attorney, but that gets a little more complicated. So ultimately, now I have a property where I can go out and put it on the multiple listing service. I can go look for a retail buyer, right? Because retail, let's talk about this. Who's going to pay more? Me, who wants to buy a rental property from you? I'm going to beat the dog snot out of you because I want it for the cheapest price ever because I'm an investor. Or Joe and Susie, who want to buy this house for them to live in.
Joe and Susie all day.
We know Joe and Susie are going to pay the most. So what this does for investors is this really opens up the blue ocean of buyers where they can make more money. Now, the process is more complicated, right? It is the easiest type of deal to screw up. The easiest, because now remember, you're not dealing with me, the investor, who you're like, oh, hey man, we had a problem. We got to move title companies, whatever, right? I'm going to be like, man, knock another $500 off. We'll call it a day. Now I'm dealing with a retail buyer and a retail agent who they don't love investors to start with. Shocking.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And they just get very nervous. And when they see contracts going back and forth and all these weird things, and novation, which means replacement of contract. So my contract with the seller, I'm going to actually crumble that contract up and I'm going to make a new contract between the seller and the end buyer to make it more like a retail transaction. When all of these things are going on, you can spook people very easily, right? Or you go to the wrong title company who truly is not investor friendly, and they start dumping all this paperwork to the loan agent. And the loan agent's, what is going on? I don't even know. Look, denied. I'm not doing this. Now you're dealing with it.
Yeah,
right?
fraud. This is not real. You can't. Yeah, absolutely.
So I promise you, I've had half the members of family have called me and like, hey man, can you save this deal? Like, I started doing this novation. I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah, man, tell me what's going on. Oh, you let the buyer's agent pick the title company. Oh, that's your problem. Of course you do.
That'll do it.
So yeah, we save and restart countless novation deals. And those are big assignment fees, guys. I'm telling you, those are the average assignment fee, I think, is $18,000, something like that. Those are the 40s and the 45s. Now they take a little longer to close because you're going through a traditional process. But if you could start to sprinkle those in, those are some incredible deals. They are really good. But you'll be on a little bit of pins and needles during the whole process. So much better to let us handle it. So 40% of all the files that we close are novations. Our team honestly would actually rather close a novation. They feel it's way more straightforward than an assignment deal. And they do it like clockwork. We know the right title company. If it's not us, we know the right one to send it to, that we vetted them before we sent them one file. We made sure they understood what a novation was and how to do it and who we should be talking to. And so we're not going through any of that stuff. So they're not sending paperwork to the wrong people. And because again, my job as your coordinator is to get these things closed, not to screw it up.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That really was a really clear
Clear as
explanation.
mud.
So let me ask you this question for those that are
Yeah.
listening that might be in the middle of a deal right now,
Yeah.
where they are the coordinator for
Yeah.
that particular closing.
Yeah.
What would you say are the top three biggest mistakes that you see investors make that are acting as their transaction coordinator in
Yeah.
the closing process?
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, not talking to their seller and staying in very close contact. That is a big thing. We see a lot in Facebook groups like, oh, this person stole my deal. Did they? I don't know, man. We're all working off the same list. There's no secret absentee owner list, by the way, guys. We're all calling the same people, right? Your seller, if you're running PPC, they went to your ad and then they went to somebody else's ad and they went to somebody else's ad and they filled them all out to see who was going to call them back first.
That's
So
right.
what happens is if your seller doesn't hear from you for 2 or 3 weeks, like, what do they think? Oh, I thought I was selling this house to Davey. He seemed like a nice boy, but man, he's not talking to me and not answering my call. So I'm going to talk to somebody else who is going to save me and not make me lose sleep over this house. We are in a trust economy. That's where we are at. This is why you need to have a presence on social media, and people need to trust that you are going to do the thing you said. And if not, they're going to go to somebody else and they are never coming back. It's very hard to rebuild that trust once you've broken it. So yeah, number one, stay in contact with your seller. The other mistake is just trying to tackle stuff that they don't understand, right? Or just thinking, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. Somebody else will figure it out. No, we go out and find problem properties. We need to figure out how to solve those properties. And the other one is just not asking good questions. There was a time when I was very first started here in Chattanooga in 2009 and 10, I had this attorney. And it was First Title Insurance Company. They're here in Chattanooga, still active. The attorney that I had is sold. But anyways, so I went in and spoke to one of the assistant attorneys. I'd be like, bam, here's my contract. Lock it up. Let's go. And every time, dude, I'm telling you, it was like, he would look at this paper and he'd be like, oh, Davey, this is a probate. You need to, dead people, you need to go probate it. Or, oh, this is in bankruptcy. You need to wait till they're done with bankruptcy. It was always a problem.
Always something.
Dude, this was the investor-friendly title company, right? And we nicknamed this guy Dr. No, because he was like the James Bond villain, right? Poor Jeremy. His name's Jeremy. Probably the nicest guy ever, but it was always no, right? Because these guys don't want to go over, and gals, they don't want to go out of their way to help you, right?
Right.
Your
Right.
crappy $25,000 deal is not going to make or break their day. It's honestly more of a headache for them. They don't want to fool with it. And it was always like, oh no, we were never the top, even though we brought them a lot of business. So I got really good at asking better questions. And here's what happened one day. I'd been through like a slew of these. I'm telling you, it felt like 2 out of 3, they would get rejected. So I'd come from this lady's house, and very nice old lady, and I'm going to solve her problem. I'm going to buy this house. We're going to get wholesale, boom, we're going to do it. And he says, oh, some nonsense. And I'm like, Jeremy, like I got a little outside myself with my attorney. I'm like, dude, I just told this lady we're going to close this deal, and then said some things I shouldn't say. And I'm looking at him. I'm mad. But then have you guys ever had this where in the back of your mind, you're like, oh shit, that was probably too much?
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going through my brain. And I'm like, and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me and he's, all right, I guess if you can get a death certificate and an obituary and we can get a couple people to sign, we could probably get this done.
There it is.
So there's immediate euphoria and jubilation. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a minute. How many deals have we thrown away that we could have closed that you told me no?
Yes.
That got me mad. Now I'm in my brain going, I know I've did 5 times in the last year. There was another way to do this. So it's not asking those good questions and being persistent and going, hey, okay, I get it, but what can we do? Hey, what's the step? So that's a place where I see people, they don't do it and they don't know what the next question to ask is. If I went to the auto mechanic and they started telling me some stuff about my Grand Wagoneer, I'd be like, oh, okay. All right.
Sure.
$1,800 to fix it? Seems reasonable.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's not the thing I'm good at. One thing I can't be bamboozled at as a title company and in real estate, unless you're that person that has done all of those deals, like I promise you are losing deals from either not being at the right title company and not knowing how to ask the right questions.
That is a fantastic point because you don't know what you don't know. That's the
No,
other.
like, and I don't blame you. How would you know? I don't know
Sure.
what the wingamabob is on the underside of my engine. I have no earthly idea. Not my
Yeah,
job. I don't want to know. I'm not interested in that. I just want it to run really nice and smooth when I put gas in it. That's the
yeah,
extent, right? That's
that's
what you
it.
guys want. That's what you want as a wholesaler. I just want to, I want to find a seller who needs some help. I want to put it under price or under contract at a fair price. I want to find a buyer. Bam, I want to make some money and I want to take my kids to Disneyland. That's what I want to do. Right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to be the title expert person.
Exactly. Yeah, so good. So that's absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
So let me ask you, with some of the remaining minutes that we have left,
sure.
um, what's the economy of the situation? Like, how does that fit into what is your price structure for the
Yeah,
services that you
right.
offer
Yeah.
and that type of thing?
Mhm. So we have clients who do one deal a month, and I have clients who do 30. So there are different price plans for everybody. That's one thing that we've realized is I can't charge the 30 guy what I charge the two deal a month guy, and conversely. So we work based off the volume that you're doing. We have some very basic plans where you can pay one small amount for the whole year and then $200 a month just to keep your spot, keep your technology up and running. And then we can do more of a pay by file kind of plan. But yeah, we've made it as ridiculously cheap as we can. Even our pay by file, which is the most expensive, is 20-30% cheaper than some of the fly by night weekend transaction coordinators that are out there. And you're not getting any level of experience or technology or software or anything to go with it. But the better part, right? The better question is, one, what's it costing you to not use a coordinator? Right.
Mm,
Somebody who has experience, that $74,000 deal. How many of those can you lose? Even $20,000 deals, dude, right? Let's not be so cavalier and be like, we can all not lose 10 grand. I don't want
yeah.
to lose anything, right? Because my business may depend on it. And this is something that I talk about, and I definitely relate this to my team. You could be new. Somebody on this call is new and their first deal doesn't close because of a title issue. And now they get out of real estate because they're like, this sucks. It doesn't work. It's real estate's a scam, whatever. And now that person doesn't have the opportunity to become you, doesn't have the opportunity to become me, to learn and grow and have a group and help people and just make a lot of money and buy properties. And now that dream is done. So that's how seriously we take this. So we love working with new investors, and a lot of them, they're just getting started. Maybe they're doing this in the evening and nights when they had a real job, because that's how I got started. And I didn't have time to be calling a title company at 3 p.m. I was working. I was a salesman for 84 Lumber. I couldn't stop what I was doing, walking a house, measuring for doors to stop and call a title company. So that's where we can really step in and really help you get this business up and off the ground. And you just have that confidence of knowing, oh my God, these people are professional and this is all that they do. And that goofball that was on the Zoom told me that they would take care of me.
Yeah, that's huge, David, because so many investors, when they first start, they are working a 9 to 5 job,
Sure, dude. I
full-time
did it for
job,
the
right?
first 4 or 5 years. I
Absolutely.
worked in building materials and ran a door shop and was a salesman. And I was coming home at night and listening to messages. And I had Voice Connect, and they would send me these emails with these leads. And I would sit at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night and call them back and set up appointments on the weekend. And yeah, I didn't have time to mess with title. I didn't even know that was a thing, right?
Yeah. It's all you could do just to get the deal, right? Get the contract, let alone like having to deal with an emergency email that comes in through the middle of the day from
Yeah.
title. And
And
things
you
are
miss
always
it.
on fire. So it's,
Yeah,
you
which
know,
is it's crazy. But yeah, a lot of what we do, because we are so proactive, that a lot of those things just don't happen, right? For us, this is like a slow motion train wreck. If we have a crash on,
calling all ambitious land flippers, ready to transform your business with proven systems and processes. Imagine this. One of my students recently closed 2 land deals and got another under contract in just 24 hours. That's the power of a well-oiled land flipping machine. My exclusive coaching program is specifically designed for action takers just like you. We'll build out your entire operation from lead gen to dispo, implementing these systems on real deals from day one. But hurry, I'm only accepting 3 new students until 2025. If you've done deals, have a growth mindset, and are ready to scale, visit kindlecall.com now. Let's turn your land business into a consistent profit powerhouse.
the day of closing, something dramatic has broken through and fallen through the cracks, because we are constantly just on top of these things, making sure that they're moving forward one step at a time and everybody's informed. And when the bad stuff happens, it's because somebody along the way, a seller, a buyer, somebody did not tell us the truth. And oh, no, there's no loans on it. Oh, but when we got the title search back, it turns out there was. You
Yeah,
don't get to keep all the
absolutely.
money. It's wacky stuff like that. Again, this is what I tell people, right? Close your eyes and think of the worst day in real estate you've ever had, right? Like you've been doing this a long time. There've been a lot. There are going to be tough days. Or if you haven't done deals yet, close your eyes and think of what is the thing you're most afraid of? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And most of the fear surrounds title company and contracts and attorneys and all that type of stuff. That's a Tuesday for us. That's just the stuff we do between 9 and 11 on Tuesday. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal for us. Like, I get it. I get client calls sometimes and they're all, I'm like, I get it. I understand. It's going to be okay. This is what we're going to do. And I'm not telling you we can solve every problem. Like, there are just some of these titles that are just such a rat's nest of just conundrum that sometimes you do have to do a super quiet title, but we're there to hold your hand and walk you through that. And sometimes deals do take 11, 12 months to close. It happens. Like once a month, we have a deal that's at least 10 months old that closes because we talk about it in our meetings and be like, oh, I closed this deal. It's been crazy. And we're waiting for this, that, and the other thing to happen. But we're there. We will help you solve those problems. Honestly, if it was just me, I'd have cut a lot of that stuff loose in my wholesale business. I'd be like, it's not that big of a deal. Let's just keep going on to the next one. But our coordinators just keep working in the background all the way along. And now you've got that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 payday just pop up randomly. It's nice to have a pipeline of that.
Yeah, I'm saying no to that.
Yeah.
Now, David, let me ask you this. For people that are listening to this, and the reason why I'm asking you this is because I've heard you speak on this before, there are some best practices around offsetting the cost of transaction costs.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to talk about that before.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
For people that are listening to this?
Yeah, 100%. This is something that I brought to the industry, and I heard it in another context at a mastermind in San Antonio, maybe 4 years ago. It was Donovan Ruffin had mentioned this. We were having a mastermind. For those of you that don't know, everybody has a give and an ask. And he got up and he was talking about how he had added an administrative fee into his contract to solve something. And I'm like, I know what I can do. Why don't I just put we do a ton of land transactions. Why don't I add in a transaction coordinator fee and offset my TC work? So we started at $595. Partner I had at the time was like, nobody's going to pay for that. I'm like, we're going to try. So this was even before we ran EZ. And dude, I sold to hedge funds, buyers, hundreds and hundreds of contracts with this in there. Nobody even blinked. 3 times it ever came up. First time was we had just put it on. I think the dispo person just blurted it out and we're like, oh, what is that? And I'm like, hey, listen, we have our transactions handled by a third party. Make sure all your stuff is secure. Mine, your wiring instructions, all of that. And we let the first guy go. We waived it. And the second time, I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So then once I explained it to him, like, hey, tell you what, we'll split it with you. And then the third person they were just like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. And then never had a problem again. It's one line. It's just right in the middle of your contract. If you don't point it out, nobody's going to care. And we're all feed to death. You go to the hotel, you got the pool fee, the pet fee, the pillow fee. There's a million fees, the parking fee. It's just on the HUD. Nobody cares. And now we've been talking about it so long, pretty much everybody is doing that. If you're not doing it, you should. So for us, even if you're on our lowest plan and you're paying $749 for the closing, you just pass that on to your end buyer. That's it. And you don't have to pay anything. Our fee just comes from the buyer, right? If you're on a subscription plan where you're paying a flat amount for the month for up to 5 deals, which is far cheaper to be on a subscription plan, then that money comes to you. So if you're paying me $2,000 a month to do 5 deals, if you've grown your business that much, but you're charging 5 people $749, somebody do the math. I don't know, I have my calculator here, but it's like $3,300 or something. But you're paying me 2.
Yeah.
Now it's a profit center.
Yeah.
Our guys that are doing 30, 40 deals a month, they're making 50 grand a year on this, right? They're not hiring, they're not doing Indeed ads, they're not managing, they're not training. They're like, you guys do it. You do it better than anybody else. And we've got some legitimate big nationwide people that if you go to our website, you can see a lot of the big influencers and wholesale companies use us for that. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to hire that. I don't want to fool with it. I just want to run acquisitions dispo. Like, let you guys handle that. And we're just going to collect the overage and put it into our marketing.
That's brilliant. So good. So good. David, what would you consider to be your superpower?
Man, I'm talking too much, probably. Dude, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm really not. I feel like I tell people a lot, I'm really great at following directions. I have great mentors, good friends all over the industry. Man, you know what? Probably I'm a little bit lazy. I'll be honest with you. I remember taking this course, this like personality test years ago when I was becoming a manager down in Florida for this hardware company. And the district manager came back to me and said, man, your results came back great, but it said you were like lazy. I'm like, that's weird. And it's just because lazy people are the people you want to put in charge of stuff because they will driven lazy people because we will figure out the fastest, shortest way to do something that's the least amount of work. And my superpower really is just simplifying stuff, right? Let's break something down to the lowest common denominator. Let's not get excited about it. Let's figure out how we can fix this and then implement something in our business so that this doesn't come back over and over again. But that's a good question. I don't know that I've ever had anybody ask me that. That's the best I got for you.
And no, I love it. It's fantastic. So if you could go back
Oh,
when you were just starting,
just a wee skinnier lad.
just a wee lad, as a beginning baby entrepreneur, what would be the top two pieces of advice that you would give
Yeah.
to brand new David?
Yeah, man, don't be afraid. I would give you a couple of things. The two biggest things. One, I would 1 bazillion% have held more properties. And I don't know if you probably talked to a lot of guys. If anybody who's been in this business for 10 years or more, that's always the answer. God, I wish I'd have kept more of those properties instead of wholesaling. Right? I've wholesaled over 1,600 properties. Anytime I'm with somebody that's been around for a while, we all be like, "Oh, dude, I sold this property for 14,000. That's now worth 300." Gosh, but we all do the things at the time that we think we need to. We were broke. We were young kids. We needed money. So one, I would definitely have kept more properties. And the other one is, man, find a tribe, right? Find some people, whether it's a mastermind like this or your local real estate group, but find some people that are in this business because this can be hard. Like real estate's not complicated. There's freaking third grader we can explain this business to. We're dealing with people and people are sometimes a little bit on the wacky side. And some days it's just hard. And if you're sitting in your kitchen trying to do this by yourself and not talk to anybody, then you know what? There's going to be days where people are telling you suck and it's just tough, man. Right. So be around people that are doing the business, right? Be a part of their wins and they can help you on the days when you're down. And then there are going to be days where you're up and they're down and you can help each other, right? There's so many properties out there. Anytime, and I've thought this, we've bought all the properties.
They're all gone.
We've bought them all. Our marketing just doesn't work. There's nobody else that wants to sell. Or I filled up all the buyers in my town and bought everything they could ever. So, listen, that's paranoia and that is self-preservation in our brain trying to protect us. But do not be afraid that there's talking to somebody else in your town is going to hurt your business. My God, it will only accelerate what you're doing because you're going to be around. Now, choose to be around successful people, right? Do not go around negative Nancy complainers. I eject those people out of my life, like without even thinking about it anymore. I don't want to be around them. If they're in your family, then I love my family. I go see them, but I don't I'm not going to say that because this could be out there, but they're just people that I just choose not to spend an inordinate amount of time with. We may be at Thanksgiving dinner and that's cool, but then I'm out, right? Because a lot of times people won't understand what we're doing. My parents love what I'm doing now. And I don't know that my mom always understands. I have to show her podcasts every so often. She's 78. But me and my brother are very successful wholesalers. But when we started, they're like, that's weird. I don't know what you're doing. But now we've had tremendous success, so they get it. But in the beginning, my time was better spent at a RIA around people who were doing deals. So you can just steal that belief system from other people and it will get you through the tough days.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think that's a piece of advice that we almost hear so often that we almost start taking that for granted. But I realize in my life, every single new level that I progress to, the thing that has catapulted me to that has been around people, has been being around people that has made me realize it's possible.
Sure.
And that's where the magic of, like you said, finding your tribe comes in.
Yeah. The last person in the office was my customer success manager. Her name is Hannah. When you guys sign up with us, she should be the first person you talk to. But she's amazing. Probably one of the smartest title people I know. I used to think I was pretty smart, and this girl far exceeded me. But she's buying her first duplex tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes. And we had this very conversation. She's, I feel empowered to do this because I'm just around you guys and it's nothing. You buy properties left and right. It's not even a thing. Nobody gets excited. I wasn't fearful. They can just steal that energy and that confidence. And she's able to do that because she's here. She goes to events with me where we're backstage with Pace Morby and you and all these guys. It just becomes a thing. Everybody does it, right?
Yeah.
And that was not me. When I went to my first RIA, Kendall, I tell the story a lot of longer form podcasts where, tell me your story. I'm like, dude, I was afraid to go to my first RIA. Like I drove to Orlando. It was Central Florida Real Estate Investors. It was the third biggest in the country. So there's like hundreds of cars there in like 2004. Dude, I drove through. I started looking for a parking spot and I got so nervous and so much anxiety because also I'm incredibly introverted. I know I haven't shut up for an hour, but I was so nervous. I drove out the other side and went home, and I was married at the time. I told my wife I couldn't find it. Just couldn't find it, because I was so scared. Right.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
remember, I do remember what that feeling is like. And I was literally, even at family, I'm the guy that will sit at the back of the room. I'm not great at being out there and talking to people. So I remember that. But I also remember how valuable it was to start to make those friends and be in those groups and go to those meetups and start to be around people who are like, oh yeah, I bought this house over in West Orlando and it's 400,000 and I'm putting 200 into it. I'm like, oh, but that just became the norm, right? That just like, oh, if he's doing what, he's not special. I'm at least as smart as him. Why am I? And there's
Love it.
22 years I've been doing this. There are some people who are dopey as the day is long that make a ton of money because they just follow the steps. They just go out and do the same thing over and over. They do what Kendall's telling them, right? Put out your marketing, make offers. Put out your offers or your marketing, make offers, right? Just do the steps, right? If you do, the thing works. I promise you it works. There's far too many. I'm telling you, we $500 million in closings. The stuff works, right?
It works.
Yeah, it works. But I get it, man. When I was new, I understood. I understand. I remember, even though it was 22 years ago, like I remember being afraid. So that's my advice, is get around some people who are doing it.
That is so good. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. So, well, I want to thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time and your knowledge. How can we give back to you right now? What types of connections or resources are you currently looking for?
Yeah, for us, we're always looking for great people that want to grow their business. So if you're looking for us, I'm sure you've got a link that you can drop here. We'd love to talk to you about growing your business. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's David Olds REI. We put out a ton of content just like me at rental properties and events and speaking and just tips. So if you want to do that'd be cool. Follow me there. If you have a question, that's an easy place to get me. I sit down every day or two and go through all the messages, and I'll do whatever I can to help you guys out. That's my thing. I don't have as much time to go to all the local RIAs and stuff, but I remember how important it was to get that kind of advice from people who are experienced. So I'll do everything I can to help you.
Love it. That's amazing. We'll put all of those links and handles in the show notes. And if you're interested in checking out Easy REI Closings, you can go to starttc.com. That's starttc.com. And you can check them out there. David, thank you so much. This has been so fantastic. I cannot wait to hear the success stories. I know so many people have reached out to me and they're like, it's a title issue. I've got title problems. I got transaction coordination problems. Here's a great solution. So I can't wait to hear all of the feedback from our land fans that are checking you out. So
don't let that cost you money this year. And also, Kendall, I saw your post that you've had an amazing day of calls. So I felt like I was like, man, I really better bring my A game today. And make sure I show up and produce.
You certainly did. This has been so enlightening, so cool. And I hope everyone, just listening to the solution that you have, I felt a sigh of relief because it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this alone. Very cool stuff. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again, David, for being so generous. And catch us next time when we will have another fantastic interview lined up. Until then, take care, be safe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
If you're interested in hearing from other seven-figure land flippers about how they've started and run their businesses, then join us at onlylandfans.com. Looking forward to seeing you there.